Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Water Cooler Talk. It's Caleb Turner, sports writer at KSL.com, and we're coming at you live on a Sunday evening, October 19th, joined by a very special guest making his grand return to Water Cooler Talk. It is Jackson Payne from the Deseret News. How you doing tonight, Jackson?
Dude, it's good to be back. It's been too long, man. I kind of thought, we had a good thing going for a while, and then I was afraid we were doing a Simmons Rosillo thing where we
Oh,
just stop potting and never address it. But I'm glad that's not the case, and that I'm back because it's always a good time.
yeah, that probably isn't the last time we're going to mention Barstool tonight, unfortunately. But yes, I'm glad you didn't leave me for Barstool like Ryan Russillo did to Bill Simmons. However, you did have a couple Barstool Sports interactions this weekend with El Presidente, Dave Portnoy in town with Big Noon Kickoff down in Provo, with the Holy War BYU versus Utah top 25 matchup last night at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. So bringing on Jackson because he was there breaking it all down for us. I watched it on TV, but I was kind of double screening. I had a RSL game going on at the same time. Their playoff hopes were on the line, and they actually they made it to the playoffs. So RSL first playoff game on Wednesday. So shout out to them. They'll be in Portland for that. But tonight we are recapping all things Holy War, going through everything that went down in that 24-21 win for the BYU Cougars that has them up to number 11 in the country now after that win. I thought they might get top 10, but they're just outside still, number 11. I guess we could start there. You feel like is that a good spot for these Cougars to be, and where do you feel like maybe just kind of like where are you at as far as being convinced that this BYU team is legit after that win last night?
Well, first off, in terms of the poll, I was pretty shocked that they didn't crack the top 10. I know 11's like right there, but are there five unbeaten teams left, I think, and BYU's one of
I,
them.
I think they're the sixth.
Okay, so there's either five or six.
Yeah.
Like, why? What are we doing here? Like, just I know that there's strength of record and all this kind of stuff, but like BYU hasn't lost yet, and I know maybe they don't have like the craziest resume, but they're also like, I mean, they won a road game against a good G5 team. They've won two Big 12 road games. Like, I think that the pole position is more about what people think is going to happen to BYU more than what they think of BYU right now. Where it's like, okay, they have a freshman quarterback. Eventually, the wheels are going to fall off, but like honestly, I think BYU's for real. Like, I think this team is better than last year's team because the defense is just on a whole other level. I mean, last year's defense was really good, but what they did to Utah yesterday was really encouraging. And I just think Bear, like Jake Retzloff, giveth and he tooketh away. Like he
Yeah.
gaveth and he tooketh away. I don't think Retzloff wins the Colorado game. I don't think he wins the Arizona game, and I don't think he wins yesterday. Like, I know he's been great at Tulane, but I think that's totally different circumstances and whatnot. But like Bear has been just the perfect addition for this BYU offense. And I feel like too, like we have a 6-game sample size now. At some point, like he's had his struggles at times, but at the same time, like the good has just immensely outweighed the bad. And if Morgan Scally can't crack Bear Bachmeyer, who's going to, So I think this BYU team's for real. I was a little confused why they're not in the top 10, just because like Texas Tech was 7 before they lost. And obviously they were blowing teams out, but at the same time, like if Texas Tech is 7 and BYU has more wins, like shouldn't BYU be in that kind of area too? Like
Mm.
beat Utah, which was this national darling with the pollsters, even though their non-conference wasn't great either. Like it's just I don't know. Look, I don't want to throw too much shade on poll voters because I am one now for basketball.
Shout out.
Yeah, just a little self flex real quick. Uh, but at the same time, it's just like what am I missing here, right? Like, but like I said, I feel like it's more about what they think about BYU going forward more than what they're at now. But at the same time, like BYU controls their own destiny in the Big 12 right now. They're the only unbeaten team left. They're tied for first in the conference play. It's not. I mean, their schedule's still going to ramp up. Like they got to go to Iowa State this week, then at Texas Tech, home TCU, at Cincinnati. Like that is the toughest stretch ever for BYU football. But they just beat Utah at home. That's the all-time belief builder to do that, especially the way they did it. I'm sure we'll dive into as well. But yeah, I'm sold on BYU, man. I just thought this year, like, get to 7-5, get to a bowl game, just kind of make the most of it with a freshman quarterback and don't expect too much. But now I'm at the point where it's like at this point, I'd be disappointed if I was a BYU fan if BYU didn't go to the Big 12 title game, just because of what this team has shown and just what they're capable of. It looks like right now. So good times in Provo.
Yeah, it's funny what you mentioned there about like we'd be satisfied. You just finish 7-5, whatever, get bowl eligible. I was not necessarily shocked, but I remember when the BYU football account tweeted out last week or whenever when they were 6-0, got their sixth win. Hey, we're bowl eligible, and it's like early October, and you're like, whoa, I'm not used to this. I mean, I guess they had a similar run last year, but it's just a weird place to be where you're like, oh, we're already like halfway in, and we're for sure going to a bowl. We have that kind of first phase taken care of, and now they move into that second part, like you mentioned. We'll get into what is coming up for them, because I think you rightly pointed out that people are talking about who have they played. They haven't played anybody yet. Who when it comes to these bigger games against Texas Tech or Iowa, whatever it might be, Iowa State, how do they handle that? But for now, all we can look at is what they've done, right? Came into this game 6-0, like I mentioned. Utah was 5-1. Top 25 matchup, like I mentioned, 23 against 15. And they got the job done. Bear Bachmeier shows both sides of his game, a little passing, a little running, has that a couple huge highlight plays. The hurdle, of course, jumps out to everybody, but also that just not stopping, barreling toward the end zone, getting helped in by a couple of his teammates there at towards the end of the game, largely outplaying Devin Dampier, who was seen as this kind of more veteran, dual threat type of presence. Of course, Tanner Wall gets the interception against Devin Dampier to kind of seal this game. And so, when it came down to it, that was kind of the matchup there, is like which, this freshman, true freshman against a more seasoned guy who had come from a couple different schools. And Bear Bachmeier got it done. In my opinion, the last time we actually had somebody onto the show was our mutual friend Nate Schwartz, and he was at an early game where Bear played. I believe it was the Stanford game, and we kind of talked about did he pass the eye test? What were the vibes? What was kind of the aura coming off of Bear? And that was still super early. And we both said, okay, let's wait and see how he performs in these bigger games. And he gets it done against Utah. Great performance. So I guess just thoughts on Bear Bachmeier overall.
Yeah, man, Bear's he's passed every test at this point. Like when you start a true freshman at quarterback, it's like the ultimate roll of the dice. It's like the mystery box in Mario, right? Or Mario Kart.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get, Like I remember when Zach Wilson was a true freshman and he started my freshman year. His first game against Hawaii, he was immaculate and he just lit the place up. They scored 49 points. And then the next week they played Northern Illinois and they kicked 2 field goals, right? Like it was just so hot and cold. And I felt like Zach, he grew into it and it worked out toward the end. But I feel like Zach was like the perfect example of like the true freshman starter at BYU. I was like, okay, will it get better than Zach Wilson? So for Bear to do it, having joined the program in June, learning the playbook on the fly, having the whole Retzlaff thing, like he came to BYU thinking he was going to sit for a year and then take the reins, and just all circumstances included with everything. And it's not an easy offense to pick up either. Like Aaron Roderick is such a polarizing figure in Provo, and I'm more on the supportive side of Roderick, where I think he's done a great job. But I think this has been his magnum opus. Like he took a true freshman quarterback and got him to learn the system on the fly, and has gotten him to 7-0 and gotten the most out of him. And just the toughness, the poise, the way that BYU's been able to lean on him in big situations, what he adds to the run game, some of the throws he made, like the throw he made to Chase Roberts last night when Roberts lost the guy. Just that's not a true freshman play, right? That's a Josh Hoover experienced starter at TCU type play, right? So I just think he's playing beyond his years. I think it helps that his older brother was a 5-year starter in college football, so he's got some of that DNA. Like he's been around, like he's been around those situations. Like he's seen it firsthand. And yeah, I mean, I think you got to give Bear an A+ thus far. Like he's had a couple freshman moments here and there, but Kalani kind of summed it up best. He's like, I'd be more concerned if he wasn't having those moments, because it means that he's not growing. And I think he's gotten better throughout the season. I know you mentioned that Stanford game earlier, and that was like a C game from Bear. And then he went to ECU the next week, got it done on the road. Colorado the week after that, just kind of put the team on his back when they were stacking the box and he had to make plays on his own without a run game. Like just every test that's thrown in front of him, he's passing. And so I'm so impressed by Bear Bachmeyer. I've said it from probably the ECU game on. If he continues to play at this level, BYU can stay in the thick of the Big 12 title race, and that's where they are right now. I mean, they're the only undefeated team in the Big 12, and at this point, like obviously they have this really tough stretch coming up, but BYU also has a lot of swagger, a lot of confidence. Like Bear's unflappable, man. Like he gets like we saw it in the Arizona game. Like he just gets the job done, even
Mm.
when the back's against the wall. Like it's just and to think that he has 3 years after this that he could play. Obviously, the Ryder Lions thing comes into. There might be a little controversy with Ryder Lions coming in, but at this point, like BYU's got to feel so good about their quarterback future just with Bachmeyer and the idea that he could get better each year, and you have a few more years with him, and then Lions comes in. So yeah, Bear's been phenomenal. He's already a BYU legend. He beat Utah, and like you said, like that was the duel yesterday, Bear versus Dampier, and Jay Hill's defense was kind of game planning, like force him in those long situations, try to let Dampier beat you with his arm, and he couldn't do it because he's just not a downfield passer. Like, I mean, like you talked about Tanner Wall earlier, he had that post game interview
Yeah.
on BYU TV that's now kind of famous for BYU fans. Like, Dampier can't throw it downfield apparently, and you saw it yesterday. And Bachmeyer could. Bachmeyer can put like he's not the greatest passer in the world. It's kind of I'm not comparing him to Tim Tebow, but it's similar. Like kind of the fullback who plays quarterback and isn't the most polished passer at times, but he still pushes the ball downfield and his receivers make it happen. So super encouraged by Bear. Really excited to see him continue to progress through the season and then beyond because he's an exciting player.
Yeah, I think I did see a small contingent of Ute fans on Twitter after the game saying, "Hey, maybe we should put in Bird Ficklin instead of Devin Dampier." But I think that was shut down pretty quick. It's probably not happening, at least yet. But I did want to ask you this. I saw a couple meme joke posts about when Bear grabbed the mic. He was being interviewed after the game when the fans stormed the field, and he grabbed the mic and said something. But on the broadcast I was watching, you couldn't hear what he was saying. Do you know? Did you hear what he said? Like, because he was like addressing the crowd. Do you know what he said?
I didn't because I was actually in the middle of that crowd too because I went down early to try and get the video of the field storming, and just in my lack of thinking, I'm on the field getting these videos, and I turn around and it's a sea of fans coming at me. And I'm like, oh no, I've trapped myself. I was just stuck in the middle of the field storming, and it was kind of like it's fun to be in those moments where it's like historic and there's energy and
Yeah.
stuff. But I was like, if you're gonna be that committed to the bit and be like swarmed and all sweaty with all these random people in the rock, like you want to actually be enjoying it for what it is. And for me, I'm just like, I have to get to the side. I have to get to Kalani's presser. Like,
Right.
disaster. So I did not hear what Bear said, but he did freestyle at one point after the game. Did you see that
Okay.
video?
I didn't see that. That's cool.
I think Waylon Lapuaho posted a video of Bear freestyling, and it is the worst rap of all time. Like,
Oh my gosh.
just stick to quarterback there. Stick to
He's-
quarterback and senior center guitar.
You
Just
can't be good at everything, you know,
no
especially at
7-4 crew.
yeah. And then I saw the BYU president Shane Reese doing a little crowd surfing in that crowd. I think you did get to see that.
Dude, can you imagine Kevin J. Worthen doing that?
I know. He might have died.
Were you at BYU? Were you at BYU with Samuelson?
Yeah, for a year. That would have been
Yeah,
insane.
like neither of those guys have done that.
He actually would have died.
Like both of like Shane, dude, I love Shane Reese. Like just a side note, like that dude is so cool. Every time he sees me at a game, he comes up and says hi. But like, just that was like the perfect ending. Like the BYU president crowd surfing around, and and everyone gets it. It's like I feel like during kind of side topic real quick, like with Dallin H. Oaks becoming the new president of the church.
Yeah.
You think about his time at BYU and he's in the Cosmo suit. Obviously, that picture goes around, but like when Oaks and Holland were presidents at BYU, like they were like pretty popular. Like they were the young kind of dynamic guys at that time, and you had Samuelson and Worthen, and they didn't maybe not really understood sports, and they just weren't as dynamic. And so when you get a young guy like Shane Reese, I feel like that energy, like it's just BYU's having a moment right now. Like the Rock is in a really good place. Like just the brand is there. Like Shane Reese, the energy. Brian Santiago's got that energy too. Just like the vibes are good in Provo. I mean, maybe a week from now, if we're doing this podcast and Iowa State beats BYU, we're in a different place. But like, it's just that was just like the perfect encapsulation of like what it's like at BYU right now. It's like, dude, Shane Reese, of course he's crowd surfing. Like, why wouldn't he be crowd surfing? It was the cherry on top of I kept thinking of like the Bill Hader Stefan sketch from SNL where it's like, this game has everything: big noon kickoff, Barstool Sports, Benson Boone, and a president crowd surfing. Like, just it was such a weird day yesterday. It was awesome. Just if you love college football, if you love life, not to do a Mark Pope hyperbole right now. Like, if you're all about life and having fun, that was the game for you, man.
This Alex Barcelo, let me tell you about him.
You talk
No,
about a
but
guy who has shot more 3-pointers than any person to walk this earth.
oh my gosh. Yeah, so speaking of those good vibes in Provo, you mentioned the big noon kickoff. We had Dave Portnoy there. Of course, and I heard that somebody with big noon kickoff said it was like the best crowd they've ever gotten. Uh People camping out overnight in that parking lot of Elwood Stadium. Great look for BYU. I did think it was pretty insane how they had like the Utah and BYU fans divided with like the guys in the middle. And that whole setup was insane. But
It
also,
was necessary. It was necessary, like in execution. But then when you see it, like in reality, it's like, okay, it's kind of messed up. Like,
well, and it like
so,
seemed a little staged at sometimes. You're like, are they actually like about to attack each other, or are they just doing it because the cameras are on? Like,
oh no, it was yeah, the energy was there. Like during commercial breaks, people were chomping at the bit. Still, it was yeah. It was crazy, man. I was there when it started. I was there for about an hour, and then I went home just because. I mean, I'd had enough at that point, but it was yeah, the energy was there because I was there last year when Big Noon came, and that was the biggest crowd they'd ever had before BYU played Arizona. But then when you add the rivalry aspect and all the Utah
right,
fans coming down, it was just like on steroids. But it was just one of those things. Like, look, I know College Game Day is they have the throne right now, but like, it's one of those things. Like, you can't just keep feeding the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, there's other like the Big 12 is not a pushover conference. Like, I know it gets kind of whack and there aren't some crazy brands, but like when you get a rivalry like BYU Utah and there's all this action and intrigue, like Big Noon kickoff was smart to come here because they got an awesome environment and I feel like people gravitated toward that kind of game instead of wherever. I don't even know where game day went. I should probably know, but like I feel like it was a good moment for the Big 12 and for BYU and Utah's brands. I just think that's kind of that's the banner brand in the Big 12 now is BYU and Utah in terms of like rivalries. So it was a really good win for the Big 12, I think.
yeah. I'm just gonna say, Lee Corso is gone from that show, and you can only get so much goodwill and clicks off of Kurt Herbstreit's dog. Like I know he just keeps cloning these dogs over and over again, so it's just the same
Yeah,
golden lab or what golden retriever, whatever he has over and over. I see him on the Raising Cane's posters. I see him everywhere. But
got
you
that
can
dog
only
in him.
there's only one Dave Portnoy though. There's only
Yeah.
one Urban Meyer.
I feel like
So who's to say?
this might be a hot take, and maybe I'm biased just because I was around him this week, but like this is a pretty hot take. I'm just gonna preface that. I think Dave Portnoy is more likable than Pat McAfee in terms
Ooh,
of on screen persona because I think
yeah,
Pat is running the same 3 plays every time, and I think Portnoy you get a lot more authenticity. Like I think like Portnoy there you don't Portnoy's who he is. Like and I feel like when you're who you are, it's like a Mike Leach thing. Like you're never gonna get tired of somebody who's just playing themselves, right? Like and I think McAfee is just he's like a character of himself right now. It's just it's
mm,
bad, dude. Like I can't yeah, it's just yeah, anyway, but Portnoy just does what he does and that's it works out. So I think Portnoy on Big Noon has actually helped that program a lot. And then like Leinart is like super cool guy. He's fun to talk ball with. Brady Quinn, like these are like cool guys you want to hang out with. I feel like they're just like it's like the good hang show. And then like game day is more intense, more buttoned up. Like, do you really want to hang out with Nick Saban? Do you want to hang out with
exactly.
Kurt Street's dog? Like,
If
do
I
you want to
if
hang
I
out?
don't want if I don't want Nick Saban in my Airbnb, why would I want him on my TV?
Exactly. Like it just game day is just too game day is too buttoned up at this point. Like it takes itself, it insists upon itself, right? Like Big Noon kickoff is there for the vibes, and I feel like that's the edge. Like, and look, I'm biased. Like I acknowledge, like if game day had been in Provo, I'd probably be saying the same thing right now. But just like the vibe of Big Noon is just so fresh and nice. Just I don't know. Game day is just it's stale right now. I don't think McAfee's helping things. And I think Portnoy's actually made Big Noon a better experience. But it was fun having them there, and good like youthful group of analysts and stuff. It was a good time.
I got 3 words for you: Nico's Pizza, Creamery on 9th, BYU Bookstore, baby.
I got
I don't see Pat McAfee hitting those spots anytime
I
soon.
got 2 words for you: Steve Nash and Chris Paul. Must see TV. Well, dude, so I was at the BYU store, like waiting for Portnoy to show up, just because content, right? That's what we do. We're all
Yeah.
about the clicks, and I was trying to get and I had some Utah fans in my mentions call me a stalker, but it's like that's what journalism is. It's just
Yeah,
advanced
you're like,
stalking.
actually.
That's what we do. And so it was cool seeing him interact with BYU fans and going down to the religion section and all that. And so after he was at the BYU store, he took off, and it was like lunchtime. So I went to the creamery, got food, because creamery food is really solid, as we know. And so I'm walking out of the creamery, Portnoy's walking in, and I'm like, dude, this guy probably thinks I'm just like following him everywhere. I felt so terrible. But he totally embraced all, like, say what you want about Portnoy. I know, look, Barstool's a complicated product. I understand why people dislike or struggle with it. It's all valid. Like, I get it. I feel similar ways at times, but it's just like, for a guy like Dave Portnoy, who has the following that he does, especially how he got the following with the kind of content Barstool puts out, to totally just like dive into the culture of Provo. Like, he even said in the Nico's reviews, like, I'm not going to swear while I'm here.
Yeah, I
Doing
was going to mention that too.
doing the ice cream, doing the BYU store, like doing everything that makes Provo unique was so cool. Cause like who else is doing that? And it's one of those things, like, if Dave Portnoy has a good experience at BYU, that is huge for BYU's perception around the world, and also for the church and their perception. Like, Dave Portnoy is probably one of the top 5 most influential people in the country right now. I mean, is that too far off to say? Like, with the following he has, and with Barstool's like footprint on my generation and our generation, right? Like, I just feel like, for if he starts going on the offensive for BYU and for Mormons, and hey, they're normal people and it was a great time, and you can be sober and have fun. Like, I just feel that can do great things for BYU in the church. And so it was cool watching him dive into everything, and it was bizarre too. It was like, wow,
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy is fumbling through the CapEx collection at BYU store. He's trying on a Zephyr. He's sampling some BYU fudge. Like, it was bizarro extreme, but really cool.
Well, and also it's like, shout out BYU, for it's nice timing for everything for this to go down, because like that fudge store wasn't there 10 years ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
most of that, like that giant screen with the bleachers wasn't there 10 years ago, right? So like,
the Lululemon section opened last month at the BYU
exactly.
store.
So like in this ramp up to, like, somehow along the lines, like, everyone got together and realized, okay, like bigger things are coming. And this is
Yeah.
all, I mean, they've only been the Big 12 for 3 years. Like, this is before Big 12. But trying to
Yeah.
get bigger and better, trying to become a national brand, right? All that stuff that you hear about. And they, when the moment came, when these guys were here in town, like, they were
Yeah.
ready.
They were ready.
So
I think
shout out.
we've talked about this before. I think that this is probably a greater discussion, and probably, like, I would love to write a book, or like at least do like a deep dive on this, but like the culture shift at BYU. And we've all seen the BYU fan playbook video on
Oh my
YouTube,
gosh.
which is one of the most cursed pieces of media of all time. But
Yeah.
that's not what BYU is anymore, right? Like, BYU's come so far from that. And I feel like we've talked about it, where it was like Jimmer Mania is when BYU realized, like, okay, we have to be the ones, we have to be in front of these things.
Yeah.
And BYU TV happened, and they kind of kicked it around, and there was a lot of trial and error. And I think coming out of COVID was really when the culture started to shift, and you started getting people in the right places. Like, Mark Pope comes, and basketball has some more life, and Kalani finally figures out what he's trying to do with football. And you get guys like Puka Nacua and Zach Wilson that come, and they're not the buttoned up Mormon boys. They're not the Austin Collies and the Taysom Hills that are fun to watch, but don't really give you anything off the field in terms of like swagger, Like, I just feel like there's been this, and then you get a young guy like Shane Reese who comes in as president, Brian Santiago. Like, it's just the way that the culture has shifted, where BYU's not, I'm not going to say BYU's cool, because cool is subjective, but BYU's not uncool anymore. Like, I feel like BYU's finally figured out kind of where they're supposed to be within the college football landscape. And when Barstool shows up and Big Noon shows up, and BYU's ready for it, and it's not embarrassing for anyone, like, that's huge. Like, the makeup of the Rock is different now. Like, it's not, you don't have like weirdo dudes with their I don't know if I can say
in the hot in the hot dog suit, right? Your guys in costumes in the
yeah,
front row.
I'm talking about this for
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah.
camera.
I got you.
It's just you look in the Rock and it's a totally different demographic and everything. It's just like, all right, BYU's finally figuring it out, and it's cool to see because like, just for the longest time there was this stigma around BYU, and I feel like that's kind of fading away. And then, of course, Nico's Pizza. Like we haven't even talked about that yet. Like Dave hyped up Nico's. That was you and I's spot.
7.4, baby.
7.4 for a Utah County pizza place is outstanding. Like I love Nico's. I don't think Nico's is anything like crazy special, but I love it. 7.4 is like near miraculous for someone like Dave to give that score. So, and then they did you see they ran out of dough? The demand was so crazy. Like just the boom for that small business just because Portnoy went there is crazy. So say what you want about the guy. I know he's a complicated figure. He's got skeletons. He's not for everybody, and I get that, but the good that he did in Provo, at least just for Nico's, is pretty cool. And I know he went to Lucy's in Orem. He went to Big or Fat Daddy's. He went to Brick Oven, which I imagine will be one of his worst reviewed spots ever.
Somebody brought him just a box of Pizza Pie Cafe.
Oh, I did see that. Oh, do you think Brick Oven or Pizza Pie Cafe will get a worse review?
It's got to be Pizza Pie Cafe. It's like
Brick Oven might sneaky. I don't know, dude. Like,
well, the funny thing about Brick Oven is like they just straight up don't have a pizza that he would like. Like it's like it's such a different type of pizza.
The appeal about Brick Oven was that you could eat as much pizza as you wanted, and then after COVID, they got rid of that, and that's just it's sad. Sorry to go on so many tangents, but I have a theory, and you can tell me if I'm off. This is kind of this is a weird theory. I think that everybody that
deep lore.
This is some deep lore. I think everybody that will ever eat at Brick Oven has already been born.
Oh wow!
Because I think it's so geared towards old people. Like I don't think there are people waiting to enter this earthly state that will eat at Brick Oven. Just because at some point it's got to go out of business. Just because that's how it's prime real estate, and at some point it's just so expensive too. Like I know it's a cultural institution, but like so is Training Table, and that went under.
But you know that some grandparent is going to bring their grandchild there.
I guess, but I just
you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, but just nothing exemplifies old people more than Brick Oven, and that's not a slight. Right. Like I enjoy eating at Brick Oven. Like
I will say, not a lot of kids. Like for as many families and like you know, kind of like older people that you would see, like they don't really bring their kids with them. So that is interesting. Comment.
I don't dislike Brick Oven. Like I don't think the pizza's great, but like the pasta is cool, and it's a fun, like if you're in Provo, you got to go to Brick Oven. Like I get that Dave went there. I think he's gonna kill it though. But like it's just I think Brick Oven is a relic of a past era, and I think Nico's is the future.
Speaking of the future, we teased it a little bit, but let's just go real quick into the upcoming slate for BYU, and we'll chat about Utah's upcoming slate as well. Both Big 12 teams. So you mentioned BYU heading to Iowa State next week. Big matchup there, and then you stay on the road to go head down to Lubbock for Texas Tech. So a couple big games there, and then yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say BYU's a bye week before Texas Tech, which is huge.
Yes,
I think that is a huge part of the equation.
That's a very good call. And then you're not home again for a game until November 15th against TCU. So bit of an interesting run there. Could honestly kind of be like a make or break 2 to 3 weeks there for this BYU team. But I mean, I keep saying it, but like this Big 12 conference, like anybody can win on any given night, which is like great for an underdog team, which in some cases is BYU. Yeah. But now that BYU isn't the underdog and they're 7-0 and they're number 11 in the country, like they're on upset watch at pretty much every single game from here on out. So it's a different mentality from being, okay, we've got this young freshman quarterback upstart to now we're like, oh, we have to kind of like defend the target on our back now.
Yeah, totally. And then even after that Texas Tech game or after the TCU game, they're at Cincinnati, which is huge. The only other team. They're tied with BYU right now for first place in the Big 12. They're both 4-0. So yeah, that stretch is, with all apologies to UCF, I don't see UCF coming in week 14 to Provo at the end of November and winning. They're not even. That's another FCS game. Might as well be just because of winnability. But yeah, I think this stretch is so key, and like I think you hit the nail right on the head right there. Like the Big 12 is such a parity ridden conference, and it's so fun. But for a team like BYU, last year BYU was probably the best team in the Big 12. To be honest, like I think Arizona State got hot at the right time.
Yeah,
Colorado was top heavy, but BYU kind of exposed them toward the end, and Iowa State couldn't hang with Arizona State. Like I think BYU was the best team in the Big 12, but because of the chaos factor of the Big 12, it kind of kept BYU out. And part of that is the Big 12 has 9 conference games, which I think adds to the charm. Like I don't want them to go to 8 conference games. Like I think that's a cop. Like, but yeah, in terms of this upcoming stretch, I'm actually going to be in Iowa State this week, which I'm really excited.
Oh, sick.
Iowa State is interesting. Like I think were they the preseason number 1 in the Big 12?
That sounds right. Yeah.
It was either them or Texas Tech.
Yep.
They were in the title game last year. They have a good quarterback, but they're kind of, you've seen it. Like they're coming off a bye week, which I think could go either way. Like that could hurt them because they don't have momentum, but it also could help them because things weren't going well for them. Like all their corners are hurt. Like they've lost a lot of receivers to the NFL. It's just not the same Iowa State team. They're really well coached. BYU's an underdog going into this game. They're a 2.5-point dog. I just feel like that's kind of where Kalani thrives, is they don't know, but they're about to find out area. And I think that's exactly what you have with this Iowa State game, where it's like, hey, we just beat Utah. We're 7-0. We're the top team in the Big 12, and yet we're still an underdog. Like, let's show them why they're wrong, And so an interesting thing Kalani said in the post game was talking about how after they beat Utah last year, they were 9-0, and then they lost to Kansas the next week, and then they lost to Arizona State. So Utah is like the highest of highs. They win in the Will Ferrell field goal, the first win in Salt Lake in almost 20 years. Incredible. And then they dropped the ball 2 straight weeks after that. And so he talked about needing to learn from that and how, they're going to do things differently this year to make sure that there's no post-Utah letdown. And I think, look, a coach's press conference is in the grand scheme of things so insignificant.
Right.
But just mentioning that right off the gun, that means something, I think. Like
they're thinking about it. They're preparing, right? Like,
but think about historically with Kalani too. Like a lot of the times when BYU loses to a team one year, they come back and win the next year. Like Wisconsin in 2017 into 2018, Boise State 2021 into 2022, Arkansas 2022 into 2023, Oklahoma State 2023 into 2024. Like BYU finds a way to kind of get right when they have a revenge. And I think this isn't revenge on Iowa State per se, even though one of the worst losses in the history of LaVell Edwards Stadium happened to Iowa State 2 years ago, which was a big night in my life, as you may remember. Anyway, but what was I gonna say? Oh, but like I think it's more of the revenge on the concept. It's like, all right, we're not going down after Utah again. Like we're gonna fix whatever kept us out of that after. And so I like BYU in this game. I think just the momentum and the belief right now is at an all-time high. I think Bear is he's going to keep getting better. But then like the rest of this schedule, man, like I know it's a tough stretch, but at the same time, like it's not the craziest path for BYU forward. Like I said before yesterday, whoever won between BYU and Utah would end up in the Big 12 title game. And now, like, obviously BYU won, but the stretch ahead is still so crazy. But at the same time, like Texas Tech just lost. BYU's going to have a bye week going into there. If they're undefeated going into Texas Tech, I mean, that swagger, that confidence is still up. But also Texas Tech just lost. Like, I think the scariest part about Texas Tech, aside from their $100 million roster, whatever it is the fact that no one could beat them. And now they lost. So it's like, all right, big bad Texas Tech is no longer unbeatable. TCU, same deal. Like TCU is good, but they've lost some dumb games too. Cincinnati, at that point, like that could be another one of those BYU Arizona State games at the end of last year where it's like winner gets in. So it just, there's so much intrigue and there's so much craziness, but it's also like, BYU's got a tough road ahead, but also like these teams have to play BYU, and that's no cakewalk either, especially the way BYU's defense played yesterday. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going off right now, but like what BYU's defense did yesterday, they've been so linebacker driven all year. And then for the safeties, they completely changed the game plan to make the safeties the focal point of the defense. For them to just adjust like that on the fly to cater to Utah and being able to make Dampier's life miserable and For the safeties to step up and kind of throw a curveball that way, I'm like, okay, Jay Hill can scheme with the best of them, right? Like whatever these teams are going to throw at BYU, like they have to go through BYU. So belief is a crazy thing. Bear hasn't lost yet. Just I'm encouraged about BYU going forward. I still think, like as of right now, I'm going to call it. They're going to the Big 12 title game. Obviously, this stretch is everything, but I think they can get out of it without being too behind the wheel. So it's exciting times.
All right, so 6 weeks from now, December 1st, what's BYU's record?
I think BYU will be 10-2, but they're going to have a tiebreaker, which is going to get them into the Big 12. It's going to be the opposite of last year, where they have the tiebreaker for them this time, because the Utah win is big, and they'll beat one of Cincinnati, Iowa State, TCU, Texas Tech. They'll have a tiebreaker for one of those. So I think they're like, I'm no dummy. Like they're not going to finish undefeated. Like that's out of the question. Watch them do that, and I just eat crow. And they put me in the butt. Like, they open the butt. It's like this clip. Like they're not going undefeated. Like don't be an idiot. Like,
bulletin board.
I'm not Kalani. I am not your source of bulletin board material. I'm sorry. I eat too many cougar tails. But yeah, I think 10-2 is reasonable. Like they'll probably lose at Cincinnati. They're probably going to lose at Texas Tech. TCU could come into Provo. Like the thing is, BYU never wins all of their home games, so you would think TCU would be that team that would come in and beat them at that point. So injuries can happen. I think 10-2 is reasonable, and I think that'll get them in the Big 12 title game, which would be like, I mean, that's like the all-time miracle season. Like your starting quarterback gets kicked out for honor code stuff like a month before the season starts, and you start a true freshman and you get it done, and you lose a bunch of first team all Big 12 guys. Like they replaced a left tackle. They replaced their best edge rusher. Like just to do what they did. Like, I mean, they replaced their best receiver last year and Lassiter. Like just Kalani's cooking right now, man. Like he's finally doing what he was brought in to do, if that makes sense. It's 10 years in. He has the exact staff he wants. He has the culture he wants. He has his guys. Like he has the momentum. He has the buy-in. Like Kalani's not looking over his shoulder every minute. Like I just think Kalani's in such a great place. It's that kind of organizational alignment. I think having Shane Reese and Brian Santiago and all these guys kind of like on the same page, that's just so huge for accomplishing what you're trying to do and not feeling threatened or anxious about it. So I'm feeling really good about BYU this year. I think 10-2. Yeah, just like you said, they're going to be 10-2. They're going to be in the Big 12 title game. That would be my definitive prediction as of now.
Heard it here first.
Even if they only go like 9-3, that's still a great year, right? Like that's
true. Yeah.
They made a bowl and they beat Utah with a freshman quarterback. That's awesome.
So yeah, BYU 7-0. Utah drops to 5-2 with a couple interesting home games coming up. Colorado coming to town next week, and then the week after, like you mentioned, that Cincinnati team, top the Big 12 team coming in to Rice Eccles on November 1st. So a couple some fun ones for my people here in Salt Lake if you want to attend those games, and then Utah heading down to Waco a couple weeks after that on November 15th to take on Baylor. It's almost like what was that?
No water coolers in Waco this time.
Don't remind them, but this time might be good because all the fans want Bird Ficklin to start. So
that's true. The water cooler giveth and it taketh away.
Here on Water Cooler Talk.
Branding.
Exactly. You know, I brought it up last time. I've been trying to get a deal with Culligan to get me a nice big water cooler in my apartment, but they haven't responded. So.
Dude, they're cowards.
I know. There's some conspiracy going on at Culligan that I have to get to the bottom of.
Is Jim Downey blowing bubbles in this conspiracy?
Probably. If there's conspiracy, Jim Downey's involved. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Appreciate you coming on, Jackson, talking a little Holy War, a little BYU football, a little Big 12. Guys, make sure you look out for Jackson's stuff. Deseret News, Deseret.com. AP Top 25 voter in basketball. Basketball right around the corner. I mean, not more than right around the corner. I mean, it's basically here. They had their first exhibition game. AJ dropping. He dropped 30 in that game. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, he was so good.
Not bad. A lot to look forward to there over the next few months. So we'll certainly have you back on once again because we can still talk Tater Tot King as well. Richie
Oh, yeah.
Saunders still in Provo, baby. We're still going.
Yeah, it's Kevin Young's got something cooking, man. They open 2 weeks from tomorrow. I mean, it's gonna be fun. This is a golden age of BYU athletics right now. Like basketball's at its absolute peak of what it's gonna be potentially, and football's on a roll right now. Just like this is, I mean, this is what the Big 12 has done for BYU. Just the investment and everything. It's been really fun to see, and hopefully, I mean, it would be cool if Utah can rebound from this BYU loss and maybe finish on a hot streak. Like they still control their own destiny in
Yeah.
terms of like getting back into the race. Maybe if this is Witt's last year, go out with a bang, win out. I don't know. Just like exciting stuff around the state. There's hockey, there's jazz. I mean, it's just this state has everything.
Yeah, according to Tanner Wall's post-game interview, which I'd recommend you all go listen to, Witt's not going to retire quite yet. So
Hey, he didn't say Witt. He said that coach over there. It was
could be
so like
could be
it was
anybody.
it was like the intellectual Max Hall. Like I'm not saying Max Hall's like not smart. I'm just like that rant was just so like abrupt and like it was just like an outburst. Like it's not like it wasn't like cohesive. Like it was so emotion driven and just like it just like came right out. With Tanner, it was like thought out and like pensive. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like we knew he couldn't throw downfield. Man, if that coach is a competitor, he's not going to retire after losing 3 straight. I couldn't do it. It was just like, wow, like he's throwing the most gentle haymakers of all time.
Yeah. Right on, right on. Well, thanks for joining everybody, and we'll catch you next week.